that I'm unaware of. Starting to see some people in the chat already. That's good. And I'm just going to make sure I've actually told people that this is happening. It is. Good. Right. Well, hello and welcome to episode 2 of the OLC CodeZone. This is a show that I know nothing about really what's going to happen. It's just me messing about for an hour. And, well, we'll see if people find that interesting enough to watch. So, hello to, who have we got? Akatranitas. That's a mouthful to say. And we've got GSCco. You're new. Hello, and thank you for the follow. And Saladin, hello. There we go. We've got trusty old moderator Sal. And the normal unicorn, thank you very much for the follow. Now, in the previous episode, we didn't get very far, did we? We were going to build some sort of space-type thing. You have to excuse me, I have a little bit of a cough today. So I'll be coughing periodically, and I've already forgotten the button to mute the coughs, so you're just going to have to put up with them. Charnel Mouse, good evening. Tardiness, I wasn't late, by the way, excuse me very much. I pressed start streaming, bob on 8 o'clock. I even watched the seconds tick down, so you can blame Twitch. Does it play some sort of ad or anything before it starts? That's something I'm unaware of what it does for your end. I've been watching you for a while, but not in the Discord server on Twitch. That's okay. That's fine. Don't know. That's not obligatory. Hey, Witty Bit, Normal Unicorn, Dandestein. So Dandestein, it did play an ad. Okay. It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know how it starts up. Encott, hi. I don't know how it starts up. I have no control over that. It's not like it used to be with Twitch. There's a button where I can run an ad. If I had any of that sort of thing set up, but it's beyond my control. I think you get this pre-roll one. There's nothing I can do about it, so that's why I always tend to spend the first minute or so doing nothing at all, just rambling, because I know later on people will complain that they don't know what I'm really doing, and well, people will complain about that anyway. I think because I don't know what I'm doing. So we've got hello, how am I doing? I'm very fine, thank you very much. It's possible ad blockers remove adverts. I hear that they do, but I don't want you to get into trouble with Twitch for doing that sort of thing. Any chance of a game engine programming series anytime soon, specifically with DX? That sounds very specific. Do you know, DirectX is a lot more fun than OpenGL. It makes so much more sense. It's like OpenGL was sort of hammered together by, so I don't know, just like loads of different people, obviously all sat in, not just in different rooms, but on different planets, trying to coordinate some sort of graphics API. And DirectX comes along, and it's like everything makes sense, and everything's where it should be. And but we all tend to use OpenGL because, well, it'll work on more platforms, I guess. Simic1, hello. Wow, we're getting quite a few viewers. Darkstorm, missed you there. Hello. Well, I prefer DirectX. I used to do a lot more DirectX than OpenGL, but now it's OpenGL, I'm afraid. For the foreseeable future too. I'm not interested in Vulkan and all those other things. I know there are people in the chat right now who are doing interesting things in Vulkan. Once you've learned one graphics API, and then you go on to learn another one, and then you've possibly learned 2 or 3 by the time you get to my age, and you think, oh, do you know what? I really just don't want to have to learn another. And also, you start to think, what's the point? I don't do sort of cutting edge 3D graphics anymore. I'm quite happy with just my basic pixels swinging around. I call it's a simple thing. I'm a man of simple tastes. Phil Boswell. Oh, Phil, hi, how good. Oh, you've got a baked potato and baked beans. I had chicken Kievs in breadcrumbs. They were an instant oven thing because I didn't have enough time to cook anything before getting in and doing this. Well, sorry, after getting in and doing this. I'm just going to, occasionally glance at some code because that's the point of these things before I go back to the chat. And last week we didn't get very far. In fact, this is where we left it off. We left it off in a syntax error, which is an appalling state to leave things in. So I'm going to see, compile-wise, what happens. I did, however, do something very important. I upgraded my Visual Studio environment because of the embarrassing fail we got last time. That was a mess. So I think all we had was a circle. Yes, a circle we could zoom in and out of. Yes. Excellent. Is OLC Discord public? If yes, where can I find the link? Well, it's basically on anything that I've ever output anywhere. There is a link to the Discord. So check any of the videos, check any of the source files that I've created anywhere. There is a link inside them. I don't list it on sort of public directories or anything like that. Pixels are greater than triangles. Gets up, yeah, because you don't sign up to any services. You've got your tinfoil suit on and your tinfoil hat. If you don't sign up to these services, you're not going to get the notifications, are you? Anyway. Oh, hey, Gorbit. Hey, General Lee. There we go. Thank you, Gorbit, for posting a link. So, the whole point of this was I wanted to carry on with a little project. If you were around for the first episode, you'd have seen that I have a little prototype sort of kicking around, and I wasn't too happy with how it went together. And I want to make kind of like a solar system-based game where you go to planets and you trade and maybe have a think about a little bit of sort of alliances and kind of like Elite, because I like Elite and I like pixely stuff. And I wanted it to be like a top-down Elite style thing. And I wanted to try and develop that, and the only way I'm going to develop these things is if I make a live stream out of it. I've got so many projects on the go and so many real-life projects on the go that I can't afford to not do the things I enjoy, which is things like streaming and coding at the same time. And somebody who's just been in the chat complaining about Twitch complained to me a few weeks ago that why don't you do any coding streams anymore? It's always gaming streams now. Why don't you do any coding streams, Javid? Well, I'm doing some coding streams. Well, trying to do some coding streams. I'm doing a lot of talking at the moment. Yeah, so I have updated my Visual Studio now. It shouldn't crash. Shall we try it? Shall we give it a go? So I'm going to try and dock a tab. This is cutting edge. Ta-da! Yep, it didn't crash, so that's an advantage. And that's actually something we wanted to do legitimately last time. So I'm going to put that back and actually now pull out the header file, because we wanted the header and the thing together. There we go. So I think looking at this, it looks like we were starting to define some of the properties for our celestial body. I think we will, you know what, I'm going to dazzle you all. Let's dazzle you all. There we go. Serves you right for staring at dark themes all the time. Now, where's my pen? Where's my magic pen? There we go, magic pen. I need a magic pen to use with my my graphing tablet. So, what are we doing for a planet? Well, I kind of want to create a hierarchy of planets, and that way we can have a planet interact with its parents. Now, I don't know the genuine space names for these things, so perhaps you guys can help me out a little bit. And what I'm going to have is, in the middle of my solar system, I'm obviously going to have the sun, right? And orbiting the sun, I'm going to have a planet. Obviously, this is not to scale, so give me a break. And around that planet, I'm going to have sort of moons, and potentially can moons have moons? Does that happen? Is that a thing? Do moons have moons? Suns, planets, moons. Yeah, I've got the correct terms. Right, okay. Nanoic's the guy that'll know, right? So, Nanoic, I tagged you in a picture I took of some astrophotography. I took it outside, and my wife thought, why are you stood outside in the ice for 5 minutes in the dark? Are you going strange? And I said, no, I'm taking a picture for Nanoic because he's really into sort of astrophotography, and I've noticed that my phone has an astrophotography mode. So anyway, yes, Nanoic, you caused a fuss in my house. Right, so, okay, so maybe potentially we can have things orbiting things that orbiting things. And we could have orbited stations, yes, exactly. Doesn't necessarily have to be orbiting planets. So, we're going to have, what I'm going to call this is a celestial body. All of these things will be celestial bodies. And this is going to be some sort of base class, I think. Oh, yeah, celestial body. So this one will be a star, and this one will be a planet, and these could be moons and whatever they are. Now, I don't know the name of this. This is a thing that orbits. It goes round the star like this. In terms of relationships, what is its relationship to this? What's it called? I've been sort of loosely calling it the principle. Now, is that something I've got stuck in the back of my mind from school 100 years ago, or is it something I've made up? What is... You've got something in orbit. What is the thing called, the general term for what it is orbiting? You see, this would be the satellite, yeah. But what is the thing that the satellite goes around? Parent. Okay, so we've got orbit E. I like that. Yeah, orbit E, satellite E. Yeah, okay. You guys are all really, really helpful. I guess I don't know. Primary. Primary sounds sort of almost plausible, doesn't it? Yes. No. Thank you. Thank you, Nano. Of course, the planets. Primary. Okay. Let's run with that. Let's spell it in the right order first. Brain going strange there. Primary. Almost spelt Primark there. Primark's a horrible shop in the UK. So if we had, so every single one of these basically has one primary, right? Because planets never sort of orbit two things at once. Now, I know there'll be some exception out there in the universe where we've got a binary star system and the planets are all... We're not doing that. So I'm going to assume that a planet has one primary. Host, Lord, Pivot, Master... Well, I could just have parent-child, but that's not very spacey and boring, is it? That's a... Right, so I'm going to have celestial bodies. Everything's a celestial body, and we're going to have a planet is orbiting a primary. So we know that basically it's got a parent object, a singular thing. I'm going to call it the primary. So this object here has this object as its primary, and this object here, and this object here. So we're going to build up like a loose tree-like structure. Something went bing. Something went bing. True Tonis. I've got to get used to the bings. Thank you for the host there. Did my property value go up? I don't think you're asking. Because the Primac burned down. Hello, True Tonis. So, yes. Where was I? We're going to have this sort of relationship, and I think... I could go into all of the maths of actually plotting these things accurately. I'm really not interested in that. For today, I think what I just want to end up with is a situation where we can set some orbital speed. So I imagine that there's a relationship between the stars. So let's draw in a nice big axis in our universe. Now, our universe is going to clearly be in Cartesian space, and this is going to be the origin of our universe here. But all of these relationships make sense to be in polar sort of coordinate space, don't they? So if we have this is sort of an R to some point there, and excuse me, told you I've got a little cough today. I do apologise about that. And we have some sort of theta there, and then this one will have an R and some sort of theta there, and so on. And we can build up this sort of relationship of everything sort of oscillating around everything else. And I'm going to keep it simple and circular like that. Now, I know the maths purists and the space fanatics in there will not be happy about that. Maybe in the future we can adjust it. I'm also going to assume that mass isn't really a thing I'm interested in. Maybe in the next episode we'll look at that, because I know that mass does actually play a fairly important role in all this, does it? Or maybe it doesn't. Mass is one of those things that either cancels out or it doesn't. Physics is strange like that, isn't it? This is going to end up like one of those Fourier series of rotating disks. I guess the principle is actually quite similar, yes. No, this is clearly not an accurate depiction of the solar system. What? What? Well, I mean, at least my planets aren't spheres, right? Come on, give me some credit. They're just sort of circular disks. Now, let's go and have a look at some code and try and start implementing this, because we've talked enough now. So I do know that we're going to have some sort of parent body, and we called it the primary, didn't we? Space thing. Well, we got celestial body. There we go. Let's pull that there. And I guess a celestial body will always have a primary. Now, should we do things with smart or dumb pointers? I think why not? Let's do things with smart pointers just to be different. Maybe. Well, I do know that I want my celestial body to include the pixel game engine, as we want everything to include the pixel game engine, right? Pixel game engine.h. Because the celestial bodies are going to be some base class. They're going to be responsible for drawing themselves, I think. Oh, hang on. I've got to look at some of these, some of the chats. I'm getting pings. Will you make a video about ray tracing sometime? Do you know, I must get asked that every single day. Will you make a video about ray tracing? My answer is possibly, but there's a lot of ray tracing resources already out there. I don't know if I can add anything to it. There's some good resources out there. There's what's the one everybody likes is ray tracing in a weekend. I've not done it myself, but I'm told it's actually a very good resource that people tend to enjoy. You should include proper gravity for the space. Oh, right. We're in trouble, everyone, because Ericsson has joined the chat. Ericsson is our resident physics nerd, so he's now going to be pulling me up on absolutely everything. Oh yeah, see, ray tracing in a weekend. Everybody's saying ray tracing in a weekend. There we go. I hear I hear good things about it, so I don't know. I haven't tried it. Right. So we're going to have some sort of parent body. So let's stand. Oh, shared pointer time, isn't it? Shall we do shared or you? Oh, it's going to be shared pointer. Let's just keep it simple. I'm going to just move my mic a little bit that way because I'm leaning today. I've actually got. This is a bit strange. I've actually got a sore arm. And I've got a little bit of a cough, and you may be asking, well, why have you got a bit of a sore arm and a cough? It's because, of course, I've had my vaccination for COVID-19. And what they don't tell you is actually the arm pain that you get from it persists, and it's actually quite uncomfortable. It's not just like a little pinprick or something. It's a big needle that they shove in you, and it's well, I can't sleep on that side because any sort of pressure on it is very sore. It's not that big. It was at least 3 meters long and 20 centimeters wide, Salad. At least that's how I saw it anyway. So, a celestial body could potentially point to another celestial body, which is itself. I tell you, we've not got much coding viewing window, have we, like this? I don't often code with a... Usually I code at kind of that sort of font level. That's my regular thing, but that's no good for streaming, so I'm going to keep it a bit bigger. And we'll say that is a pointer to... what did we say it was going to be? The principal. Principal. Is it principal or principal? I know there's a difference, but I don't know what the difference really means. And we'll have that as a... yeah, we'll have that as protected, I think. Because we might want that later on. Let's just grab all that again. I'm sure C++ is turning into Pascal. All that's good. Celestial body. And I'm going to do my thing, which I know will upset a lot of people. Equals null pointer. Because I just like to keep these things. I know it automatically sets it to null pointer now, but I just... you know, it's just there, it's habit. I'm also going to default it to null pointer as well. And obviously the only thing in our solar system that will have a null principle is the sun, the star that's going to be sat in the middle of it all. So that's where I'm going to start. Now, in our solar system, everything is going to be related to its principle via a coordinate of some description. Well, a polar coordinate. So I'm going to use a vector VF2D, I think. Excuse me. And we'll call that as MV polar. So that's our polar location relative to the principal if we have one. So I guess by default, if we don't have one, then... well, we probably will do a bit of rotating and things. We'll have to see. What else are we going to need? We're going to need... A celestial body is going to need some sort of radius. So I think that's what we started doing up here. Should we do... We decided, should we do this as radii or diameteri? And I think we'll do radii because a lot of the drawing routines accept radius instead of diameter. It saves me doing divide by 2s everywhere. So we'll do that. F radius. And I guess we'll just default that to something that isn't 0. Right, so I know that when I want to draw this to the screen, the polar coordinates is actually of little use to me. I need a world coordinate which will be in Cartesian. So let's get rid of that. Let's change that to public. And we'll have a OLC BF2D get Cartesian, which will turn my polar coordinate into X and Y for drawing. But it's going to have to do it by looking at the tree that it's a part of. Could get very complicated for a live stream, this. What about elliptical order? No, we're not doing anything like that. We're keeping everything very, very simple. Which vaccine did I have? I had the AstraZeneca vaccine, which was the one I wanted because I wanted to support the British university effort that was behind it. You think the principal could be weak pointer since you're going smart pointer way? Yeah, you're probably right. It probably could be. We'll change these things as we go. I can't see what the last message is because Twitch has very thankfully put up a notification toast. That's the right word, toast, right? Over the chat. So thank you, Twitch. Right, so we've got this thing here. Let's get Cartesian. Well, the Cartesian will always be based on the polar coordinates and sort of the polar coordinates of its parents. But maybe we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Let's just start adding in some of the basics that we need. We know that this is going to be a base class, so there's going to be some stuff that we want to inherit from. And I imagine one of those is going to be some sort of draw yourself. And that's why I wanted to include the Pixel game engine. So this will be some virtual function, actually. Virtual void draw self, and I'm going to do the traditional thing of passing in a pointer to the Pixel game engine here, PGE, and it will go away and look after drawing itself somewhere. Now, I won't make that fully abstract just for the time being. Might do that as a tidying up step later on. Right, so now I need things to implement these. So I'm just going to right-click on those, quick actions and refactoring, and create declarations. There we go, oomph, and it's gone and stuck them all in the other window for me. Oh, nice. There we go. And get rid of that constructor that we created last time. Though we're probably going to need a default constructor, I imagine, at some point. Let's pull that over there. I'm just going to have a quick glance at the chat. Look at Javid knowing all the web terms. Oh, it was an Android term is where I picked it up from. If one wants elliptical orbits, one has to worry about the Kepler equation and stuff. It does tend to get complicated real fast. That's why we have people like you, Ericsson, to come and sort it all out. You know, once it becomes an open source project and you're unhappy with the accuracy of the solar system, then you can tart it up as much as you want. Right, so what are we doing? We're trying to fill in things. So we've got a principal up here. Let's fill that in. So we know we're going to MP principal equals, well, P principal, whatever we pass in. That could very well be null pointer. So I think a lot of our things are going to need to check to see, well, do I actually have a parent before I go ahead and do anything at all? So if I want to get the Cartesian, if I indeed, do I want to get the polar coordinate of the polar coordinates of the polar coordinates? So that's a good thing. So we need to make a decision. Sorry, just blind everybody again. Do we want to have the ability to get our planet's position at any point relative to the center of the solar system? So in this case, we've got an R there, and some, I don't know, some mega theta from the center point. And that ultimately is what we transfer over to the Cartesian framework. Or, yeah, I think that's actually quite a useful thing to think about. Get Cartesian on the parent and then call the offset. We've got one accelerate. OneNote does have a dark mode. I am not going to use it. You just have to put your sunglasses on. Well, I'm going to consult with my little notes and see actually what did I do last time, because I remember doing this and then not being very happy with how I implemented it at all. So last time, what did I actually think of doing? I had celestial body. What did I do? Oh, I just sort of provided an assortment of everything so you could get any position anywhere. Okay. Oh, what's going on? We're getting a load of pings. Oh, this could. Okay, good. They've stopped. Yeah, I don't. Oh, no, they haven't. I don't know why the YouTube ones pop up still anymore. I don't know how to disable that. So it looks like they come through in batches because I don't think this is real time. I could be sat here going, "Hey, sub hype," but I don't think that's accurate. Right. So I think what we'll do is we'll do something similar. We'll have we'll just sort of a scattershot approach. We'll have everything. Why not? So we do actually want to have a way of returning our polar coordinates too. So we'll see. VF2D. We'll have get system polar, and we'll get primary polar. Oh, principal. Oh, shall we go? Well, I don't know. What did we decide? Principal or primary? I think principal. Principal polar. So this one will return the polar coordinate relative to our principal object, the one that we're orbiting around, and this will get it relative to the center of the universe. Maybe. I don't know. We'll fill these in. Let's go and add those. There we go. The nice thing is, if you didn't know in Visual Studio, this now, when you do the right-click and add the stuff, it adds it in the right place as well. It previously just used to sort of vomit it at the bottom of the file, but now it goes and finds the right location relative to your header and inserts it in the right place. Have you tried Restream? A friend of mine says it's really helpful for pulling Twitch, Twitter and YouTube into one place. The problem with that is I don't think you're technically allowed to do that if you are partners and affiliates of the respective services. They don't really like you doing the same thing at the same time. Certainly that was in the contract I had to sign. I think well, I'm going to go with Ericsson. I kind of agree. Principal, I think. I don't know. It sounds. Well, we can refactor it later. Let's run with principal until I get really fed up of typing in primary. Right. So all we're going to do with our get principal polar is simply return our polar. Now we could do all sorts of const references and all that kind of thing. Well, let's just make it work first, and then we'll make it work well. So that's just going to return our polar. But to get our location in Cartesian, we're going to need to sort of go through all of the positions of the other objects in space. So what we'll need to check is, do we actually have a principal to begin with, which is MP principal. If we do, then I want to get the Cartesian position of the principal plus the Cartesian position of our self. Is that right? I think that's right. In which case, I actually need a Cartesian position for myself anyway. So what should we do for Cartesian is simply V Cartesian. That would be equal to be the polar. Well, we need to nominate. So let's our polar x can be radius and our polar y can be the theta. So we'll have V polar dot x times cos of v polar dot y. I've called it MV, haven't I? See? Not woken up yet. Right, let's have all of that. And running out of screen space again, I apologise. There we go, sign. That's all we need, right? So that's going to convert our polar coordinate to our principal to some sort of local Cartesian coordinate. So if I get that local Cartesian coordinate, I can add that to my principal's Cartesian coordinate, and we can keep doing that all the way until we get to null pointer, which means we're at the centre of the universe, and therefore we will know, we'll have all of these offsets added together. That's where we want to draw our shape, I think. Whole thing should be finished in about 30 more minutes, right? Maybe 30 more years at this rate. Again, I apologise for the cough. Right, so we've got our local Cartesian. It's going slow, this, isn't it? That's the whole point of this thing, is I've no idea where we're going with it. It's just to have a little bit of fun and some community engagement too. Nothing wrong with that. It's very different. For those that have joined for the first time on a live stream, it's not like the videos at all. As you can see, it's chaotic. There's typos. There's going to be bugs. I'm thinking of getting one of those little deck things. Are these a good thing? What are they called? Elgato or something? Stream decks with some buttons on, and that can make some graphics and things appear. Is that something we need? Astral Grandma. Well... I thought you said enraged then. I was thinking, oh dear, well I won't get one of those then. Yes, we do want silly graphics and audio clips. Oh, where are we up to? I can't remember. Let's have a look at my notes. That'll help us. So we want to get the... Ah, that's an interesting point. So that's getting the Cartesian of our local space. But we do actually need to get the Cartesian of our principal as well, don't we? So if we have a principal, V Cartesian, do you know what? I'm going to just simplify that. So we'll have principal xy is equal to MP principal get Cartesian got to think of the recursion that's going on here. So we're going to get our parent's location in space, and we want to add that to our location in space. And we want to keep doing that until we haven't got a parent anymore, at which point we just want to return... Ah, that's the thing we actually want to return, isn't it? So let's let's just nuke you for a second, put you there. And put you there. Principal X, principal... principal. So we're getting the coordinate of our local relationship to our parent, and we're adding that to our parent's position in space, plus that. So let's follow this through roughly. So the first thing that will happen is we want to draw the sun. So it's got a polar coordinate of 0, 0 effectively. So that's going to give us a Cartesian of 0. It has no parent. So all we're going to get is V principal equals 0, 0, and that's what we're going to return. V principal xy. Why not just add it to V Cartesian? We are doing. No? Oh, you mean just sort of instead of creating... Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah, no, that's tidier. Yeah, I understand. So, yeah, like that. Right, so we just sort of get our thing and we add it and we pass it. Yeah, no, that's better. Yeah, I like that. That's tidier. Okay. I'm watching on my mobile and the font size is okay. I think you can decrease the font size 1 or 2 clicks and it will still be fine. Yeah? Is that okay? Yeah. I worry about it because I know I don't stream on a particularly high resolution. And I know that some people tend to not watch with their face sort of 3 inches away from the screen as well. First time to watch your Twitch stream. How often do you Twitch stream? Well, at the moment, weekly. And it used to be kind of weekly, and I want to get back into doing it weekly. So that's why I'm doing this show, the OLC CodeZone. We don't know what it is, but it's this. That is great. You can see it on my 30-inch monitor. Okay. Well, I will leave it like that for a little bit. But if there is any problems, do sort of shout out. Don't forget, those people might want to watch this on the VOD later, you see. And also, I'm getting old, so I don't like it too small. But I'll have a happy medium somewhere in the middle there. So now we can sort of start to structure our planets. Maybe that's what we need to start doing. We'll start building in a planet itself. Oh, we've got a draw self function. Shall we fill that in with the PGE? Ooh, now that's interesting because we're not actually passing in the PGE, or are we? Are we instead passing in? Where's our main? There's our main. We're going to pass in, yes, we're using a tiled view. That changes things just a little bit. Well, sorry, a transform view. Okay, so let's actually modify our header here to include the transform view as well. I forgot that we'd made that decision. That was a good decision to make. So I'll pull in a transform view, and we'll actually change this to being a transformed view. Transform view, and we will pass that in thus. Need to update the class body, of course, now. We've changed things. I would still like Visual Studio to be able to do these sort of changes automatically. That would be convenient. Then again, I don't mind doing them manually. There's a lot of... I like when I am refactoring like this, I think it's good to do it manually because one, it tries to, if it's a big project and you've got a lot of changes to make and it's a punishment for getting it wrong in the first place. But secondly, it allows you to just manually review every single change and make sure it is what you're doing. It gives you some overall familiarity with your code. So we're going to go back up a little bit with the text. Okay. It's all been downhill since DX3. What happened to direct music? You know, direct music never sort of really took off, did it? I remember all of the promo demos for it where the music would change interactively with the action that was going on in the game. Basically, it layered another MIDI track in with some volume. I think refactoring by hand is perfectly fine. Programming live requires a lot of skill. Or a lot of daftness. I think you've got to not take things too seriously. That's the only truth. But you've got to acknowledge the fact that we're not going to be like a YouTube video and get through a whole project in the space of 45 minutes. This is a long-term thing. Okay, interesting question. I am curious. I've seen it multiple times when people have multiple public and private parts in the header file. Is there a reason for it? Well, and people that know me will know exactly what I'm about to say. Because for me, it is nothing more than a mental segregation of these different functions. So, yes, you could combine all of these public parts into one public part. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You get rid of these lines altogether. But it just, for me, it gives you this sort of visible separate grouping of the things, and I quite like it. So here are going to be my gets, and here are my virtual methods, and as this class develops and matures, we're going to start adding more and more things to it, and it just keeps them all in one place. That's the only reason. Don't forget, you write code which is useful for you. Don't write code which is necessarily has to be useful for other people. On the whole, as a programmer, and I'm sorry to say this, nobody else is ever really going to use your code. That's you know, for the most part. You will work in organizations where, of course, you will be sharing code and working on stuff in teams, and that's all good stuff. But the bulk of the code you write will only ever be read by you. So, you know, write stuff that actually helps you rather than other people, unless, of course, your company has policies about what you should be doing. No, that's a controversial point in the OLC CodeZone. See, this is where I need a sting and a title to pop up and say controversial across the screen. Well, we'll get that sorted out for next time. Use smart pointer instead of raw pointers, or you get a bat in the head. Alex is a bit aggressive, isn't it? Yes, we need to do some sort of explosions and things like that. Couldn't you separate them by tab only? You just mean sort of have more sort of indented or something. Well, that's unconventional. Most languages from the 60s are pretty scary. I should look at some languages over the last couple of years. Right, what am I doing? I'm completely lost track now. We got totally sidetracked there with a controversial opinion. Definitely need it. We need a news segment as well. I want to do a news segment, and I want to do like a community showcase segment where I basically just show you stuff on the screen and go, yep, nice, 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 to everything everybody submits. Something went ping, and I don't know what it was. Bag of Pete, I think, followed. Oh, thank you. Oh, there's been quite a few follows. Sorry, I'm unfamiliar with Twitch at this level. So this is calamitous, isn't it? So, where are we up to? We want to try and draw a planet. That's what we were getting to. Right, so drawing a planet. Well, for now, we're just going to draw a circle, and that can be, instead of PGE, that can be TV, because that actually makes more sense. Because the transform view that we'll be passing in already takes into account the pixel game engine. Right, let's draw this. So let's draw something. What are we doing? TV dot draw. We'll just draw a circle to begin with before we start getting fancy with all the graphics. And we know that we can draw this at the Cartesian location in the world. Hopefully. This is what we're going to test, and probably all sorts of bugs. And we know its radius is going to be the radius. That's original thinking, isn't it? We planned that one very well. Good. Kudos to the guys in the planning. What's going on? Velosa just subscribed via Twitch. Well, thank you very much, Velosa. That's much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. We've got radius. So what colour are we going to draw this? Well, we have no sort of meta information about what our planets are at the moment, but just to stop it being yet another video where all we draw is a white circle, I'm going to draw this one as cyan, just to be different. And Magetsub likes cyan, so we can never go wrong with cyan. How do we actually build our world? So I guess we're up to the point where we want to start thinking about... I'd love this, a Visual Studio extension. Anybody that wants to write it, I would love something where I can have a macro on my... I have a big keyboard full of macro keys. I want to be able to press the key and it goes one position there, one position there, and one position there. And animates it like that. So zip, 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 zip. I want that. That would be something I would use. I'd use that even in a practical sense as well. The notification sounds are quite loud compared to the voice. Okay, well, I will turn those down. Right. There we go. Hopefully we don't get too many notifications anyway. It's surprising how many people actually want to watch this sort of stuff on a Tuesday night. Basically, somebody clumsily ham-fisting code together, barely understanding what they're doing. Oh, see, there's another one. Now, that's a cheer, right? And thank you, thank you, OBS or whatever I've used for that alert, for doing it in black. I can't see. That's Dragoneye. Dragoneye, 64 bits there. Yes. Good. I'm unsure what a bit is. I wish it was 64 bitcoins. Now, C++ isn't as hard as it seems. I think C++ is a great language for beginners. So we've got one of these transform views, and we're going to start adding some planets. Now, let's just add in a basic planet. I probably need to actually include our celestial body, don't I? That would be a useful thing to do. Celestial body. And let's add a celestial body to our world. Now, the shared pointers. Shared pointer. See, celestial body. And we'll call that one. Well, this is the center of our universe. I guess this is the sun, right? MP Sun. Oh. Morris just subscribed via Twitch. I say it makes a difference because subscriptions via Twitch are not like subscriptions via YouTube. I've learnt this now. It makes me sound really out of touch, doesn't it? So I want to create a sun object. Probably somewhere on user create. Let's have a go at that. MP Sun. Let's have a look. Oh, it's a make shared thing, isn't it? Standard make shared. Oh, we've got to do all this now. Make shared. See celestial body. And people think this is the future of programming. This is what we used to do back in the 80s, right? Now we got to a nice point where there was shorthand and unconventional ways of sort of getting what you wanted, and the language could you could infer via the language what it was you were trying to create, but that's not allowed now. It's unsafe, so we have to do everything like we used to do it 20 years ago. Celestial body, make shared. What was that? With null pointer, right? I know it defaults it to null pointer, but null pointer was all we had. We didn't even put in a way of specifying the radius or anything like that yet. Do you know what? I'm going to have a quick test compile just to make sure we've not missed anything really obvious that's going to stop all of this working. Good. Right, so now we can potentially draw our sun. So let's have a look. MP Sun. Draw self. Oh, it went ping again. What have we got this time? You love this stuff. Well, thank you for the bits. Twitch subs means dollars. Nothing that a few gigs of update patches from Microsoft don't solve. Oh, we did have a bug last time. Yes, well, that's been fixed though now. Yes, it was about 3 gigabytes as well. Well, look, I will say this. Visual Studio used to take ages, and I'm talking, this is just Visual Studio 2015. Okay, they're all big. I won't argue that. But it used to take ages to install. Like, it could be an hour and a half. On my machine, it's not a bad machine. It took ages. Visual Studio 2019, I must say, installs within 10 minutes. The updates are almost instantaneous. I think it's very cleverly done now. So kudos to Microsoft. They just made a mess by putting in a massive bug, which I discovered live on stream. Draw yourself, and what we'll do is pass in our transformed view object. Right. Let's get rid of that draw circle so we don't confuse ourselves, although that was drawing a very large circle. What's going to happen? I do not know. Let's find out. Hopefully we just get a white dot somewhere at the center of our universe. Oh, no, a cyan dot. There it is. Hello. Ooh, sounds pretty bad, that cough, doesn't it? I liked 2008 and I liked 2012. 2013 was terrible. That was the one it was Visual Studio designed for tablets. I mean, come on. What were they thinking? Nobody does coding on a tablet. Right, so we've got a planet there. Right, so what we want to do now is add another planet. And we'll set that. So let's have our first orbiting planet. So MP Sun. We'll call this one MP Earth. That'll really annoy Ericsson that it's not the first planet, but it's one that I can spell. So we'll have MP Earth equals, we have to make a shared thing again. Make shared, see celestial. And this time we'll pass in actually our sun to say, right, you are going to orbit that. But we need to give this some sort of dimensions and size, because right now we don't have that as a mechanism, do we? Stefano, thank you for the bits. Trutonics, thank you for the bits. I'm going to sneeze, and it's going to be really embarrassing to do this on stream. I can feel it now. It's coming. An official OLC sneeze there. Definitely not the vaccine. Thank you, Julian, for the 100 bits. Blessings. The worst part is, and I know it's going to happen, it's going to be embarrassing, I always sneeze twice. So the other one will come in a bit. Right. Where are we? Oh, dear me. I think I age about 3 years during these streams. We need to specify a sort of a basic starting position for our celestial body as well. So let's have it. We'll have a radius from, a distance from the principle that we've specified. Should we have a principle? So let's specify the float. We may need to. It depends if we scale these up to sort of genuinely solar system size numbers. We may actually need to consider higher precisions. We'll worry about that later on. We can refactor floats easily enough, can't we? Just use a macro. I like macros. We'll have this as f distance, and we'll also default u to 0, and we'll assume theta is also going to be 0. Hello? Dragonite just subscribed via Twitch. That's 3 subscribers all in like one go. That's a big deal. Oh, and we also sort of hit a little follower milestone on Twitch. Not necessarily today, but I think it was yesterday. We hit 3,000 followers, which is, given that basically in 2 years I've streamed on Twitch twice, isn't a bad thing at all. Right, what are we doing? This is the constructor, and I want to desperately just get one thing at least done today. I've completely lost. Where am I? Celestial body. There we go. We've altered our constructor to include a distance from the principle. There we go. That needs to be set into our polar coordinate. MV polar, which remember is to our principle, not to the center of the solar system. Dot. What did we say? We said x was going to be the distance and y was going to be the theta. So we'll set that as f distance. And I will put this here just as a reminder because I'll stick some comments in as well, which just make this easier to remember. We'll say that one is theta, and that one is r, effectively, of our polar. Just so for next week when we carry on, I'll remember where we left off with those. So now we should be able to specify. Back in our main program, that's what we want, main program. We should be able to specify that we're orbiting the sun and the distance is going to be, I'm going to pick 4. Now the radius will still be the same as the sun, so what I'm hoping to see is as we start to draw all of these planets, and we'll come up with a more intelligent way of sort of iterating through this stage, rather than doing them all one by one, but baby steps, that's what we're doing at the moment, baby steps. How are you going to work out the angular velocity? Well, oh, hang on. Uh-oh. So this is where I'd press the button. I'd press the button and go, error, error. I need somebody to make that kind of sting for me. It's because I've put in an equals there. There we go. Well, I was going to use a formula in my little prototype. What I did was use the radius, and I assumed that the planets had a single density. So the radius could then be converted to a volume. We could create a density, and from that we could get a mass. And then I think via that was how we worked out what the angular velocity would be. So it kind of all worked. The only trouble is it created a very accurate solar system, and that's really boring. There's nothing in space. So you had to then sort of handcraft and fake all of the values to make it really work. Anyway, so that's really what we're going to be playing around with. I've completely lost track of where I'm up to. There's more pings and things going off. Let's have a look. Oh, Danny Cron, hello. Right, so where are we? We should have 2 circles. There we go. This one is our sun, and this one is our Earth. So let's prove that. Let's add in another virtual method. So we're going to have a virtual void update self, and of course we're going to pass in a float. Let's get into the habit of doing some of these things properly. Elapsed time, and we'll waz that into our basic celestial body. Quick actions and refactoring, create it. I've done that, sticking it there. See, this time it has, it's put it in the right place. I thought it was going to sort of defy me and do something contrary to what I told you before, that it'll stick it to the bottom of the file. Of course, it has stuck it at the bottom of the file, but it's put it there correctly. And all I'm going to do on here is update my polar coordinates. So polar dot y plus equals. We're going to have for now a constant speed, so let's just pick 10, which I guess is 10 radians per second. So that actually might be a bit too fast. Let's just do 1 radian per second. F elapsed time. There we go. So all that's going to do is change the polar coordinate for this object relative to its principal. Now, of course, that won't matter for the sun. So what we should see... Oh, I need to actually call that function somewhere, don't I, before I run it. So as part of our update function in the main application, we also need to run through all of the planets. So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy those, and I'm going to be really cheeky, because I can't remember what the short code is for doing this, and then I'm going to do get rid of those, and then I'm going to do update self, and then F elapsed time. There we go. And then I'll put you back. I know it's something like Control Shift Alt and Dot or something, but I can't quite remember what it was. So let's see what happens. So now I've got an object in the middle and another object sort of orbiting it circularly. Right, let's test the theory. So let's add in moon, and we'll put the Earth a little bit further away as well. I think just give us some space. So we set the distance to the principal to be 4. I'm going to set that to be 10. I'm just going to have a quick glance at the chats because I have missed quite a few of them. Once I get going, I kind of get into it, you see, and that's I start to pay less attention to the chats then. Oh, Motbus2. Thank you for the follow. So we're going to add in another one, which is going to be moon, and I think we will come up with a more intelligent data structure than me labeling all of these things manually. But what I excuse me, what I wanted to avoid was this is not going to be like Elite. I don't want it to be some big procedurally generated thing where there's infinite number of planets. That's fun and not so fun. I actually want to handcraft this solar system so we can actually make it fun. Oh, we've got all sorts going on here. So we've got Alfina Gamer, thank you very much. Fion, thank you very much. In fact, let me go back and read some of these because I've just realised that it does tell me all of the notifications. Regular Old Brick, thank you very much. LSG Dave, thank you very much. Pseudo Fiji, thank you very much. NETS, thank you very much. Etheric, thank you very much. Yisar with a 3 in it, thank you very much. The Potato Head, you're a quite controversial thing at the moment. You know, we can't be Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head anymore. And Nanoic just subscribed via Twitch. Thank you very much, Nanoic. So I've created a moon. Let's just copy this line because we're almost at the end of the show, so we have to sort of hurry up a little bit because I do actually want to sort of see something orbiting something else. Now, all of our planets are the same size, of course, which is the first problem. But let's set that to 3, and we'll add in another one of these to update our moon. And we'll come up with a solar system-like container to handle all of these updates, rather than doing them manually. Because this is a bit weak, I agree. MP moon, draw self, TV. Let's take a look. Now, will it fail? Will it work? Are things going to be orbiting each other? Ooh. Now, that's because they're orbiting at the same speed. Is that right? That's why it's looking like the way it looks. Everything looks like it's just in one line. So maybe we need to actually include something just to make that a little bit different. I can't tell. Is that... It's a bit difficult to tell what's going on there. It clearly is orbiting because it's not sort of always to the left of the planet, for example. But is it orbiting the center of the sun, or is it orbiting the planet? So we do need to factor in some sort of difference between the two. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We will just bodge that for now, just to try and prove the point. Given that the only thing different in our celestial bodies right now is the distance to the principal, that's the number I'm going to use. Divided by some constant to set how far how much of the theta we change per frame. So let's have a look. M for divided by, we know that our our largest one is 8. So let's let's just use it. Let's just use it direct. Right. So this is not how space works, I should point out, but it's how our model of the space is going to work for now. So let's zoom in. Oh, everything's dead fast now. I think we need to slow space down, everybody. But are our circles sort of in different places each time? Can't tell. Can't tell. So we need to slow space down. Let's slow it down by a factor of 100. That might be far too slow. Also, probably want to set the default zoom and things. I don't think. I don't think that's necessarily working. Difficult to tell. I kind of want that one to be really quick. I don't think it's working because now we have got different times being up there. So we're modulating with a sort of different constant and time. So we would expect these to be orbiting at different speeds. But what we're seeing is actually the orbit of the moon seems to be orbiting the sun instead. Let's have a look. Oh, Ericsson said something. Let's have a look. Velocity, constant power, orbital radius over third. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So we want to do this is what Ericsson is suggesting. Is we will do a constant, magic constant. Well, we'll pick a low number times the power of the radius to minus 3.0 over 2.0 times F elapsed time. We have to keep the times F elapsed time in there. Okay, so this is the Ericsson modification. I guess this makes things non-linear. So does this actually make things more visible to see? Let's have a look. Ericsson can't see anything. Why can't I see anything? Oh, because I've got two lots of 0.01. That's not going to help. And I'll just make that a little bit different there. Yeah, I can't see anything. That's interesting. Why is that completely blanked out? It must be either it's drawing things so fast. I'm just going to take out the F elapsed time there so we can see if it's just static or not. What's going on there? That's quite interesting. That doesn't draw anything. Doesn't draw anything. Debug the location. Your maths has broken my thing, Ericsson. That's not very good. MV polar y plus equals x, which is our orbital radius. Yeah, I think we're going to have to see what's going on with those values because that's not good. Now we'll go and look at the next one. So this one should be Earth. Yep, so that's at 10. And why? No, that looks legit. That looks okay. We set the moon. That one looks okay. Small values, but looks okay nonetheless. Let's go through and just see where these draw themselves. So our current sun is at... Let's make sure that the sun is at polar 0. Y is infinity. Oh dear. Right, okay. So that's what's happened. This value has become so massive or large or invalid. If your radius is close to 1, the power thing should also output 1. I don't know, Ericsson. I think all you've done is broken my program. I think that is basically what you have contributed to this entire show. And people will remember this show now, like they remembered the last one for Visual Studio collapsing. Instead, what they're going to remember this one for is Ericsson broke the maths. Yep, see? Look at that. No idea what's going on there. Thank you, Ericsson. Hard to tell. Anyway, we're 5 minutes over the end. So, yeah, there was a previous show, Sal. Oh, Ericsson, that's it now. The amount of trouble you're going to be in on the Discord server. The sun has 0 radius. Is that the problem? Oh, I'm pandering to the audience here. Sun has 0 radius. Ah, okay. See, it's good that we've got clever people in the chat. People, well, no, maybe not clever, but people that pay attention at least. So I'll just set the default radius to 1 there. So now we've got a radius that sets the x value. I guess that's why we were getting some strange value out of this polar y. Let's have a look. Well, so this is kind of moving at realistic space speeds now, is it? The sun's radius is meant to be 0 because it sits right in the middle, but I guess that's the point you're making, isn't it? Because it needs to sit in the middle, we need a different set of equations just for the sun because it has no sort of orbital radius. Okay, well that's something we can make a note for next time. You should do transform view to center the camera so you can see if the satellite orbits. Yeah, we can do all of that, but we're going to have to do that next week because now, well, that's the end of the show for this week, I'm afraid. I'll be uploading the VOD for all of those that have missed the beginning. You've not missed much, I should point out. And I wish to thank all of the people who have subscribed during this stream. There's been 5 of you in total and quite a bunch of new followers. So I hope you enjoyed the show. It's chaotic. It's never achieves a result yet. And we'll keep on going with it. Normally, this is where Twitch people would raid other people, but I'm unaware of anybody streaming, so I can't do that. So if you do want me to stream after these shows, do get in touch with me and let me know that you exist and that you would like the audience. So until then, I wish you all the best and take care. Bye-bye.